Pam and Jessica did a fantastic job with our family, with Jack, and we're still very lucky and fortunate to, that they came in at the time that they did, because, it was definitely necessary. So we've been so happy with the results. Jack's sleeping marvelously through the night, about 10 hours a night, and then sleeping for 2 to 3 hours nap time. Obviously, it's very special and important to do what they kind of, the rules that they lay down and the guidelines and the structure and schedule, because that's the only way it works. So my wife Beth and I have been pretty diligent with our nanny and our daughter, and honestly, it's one of those things where you can't put a price tag on what you get at the end of it, and the quality of life thing is huge.
Yeah.
So I think that's the one thing that I think people just don't really take into account right away, because they're just dealing with it. They're like, oh, we're gonna be okay. Excuse me, we're gonna be over this. He's gonna grow out of this, or he or she, and that's not necessarily the case all the time. So we're very, very lucky. Very lucky to have you guys when we did, for sure.
And
so.
how did you hear about us in the first place?
Actually, there was a boutique store up the street here.
Yeah.
And they in Montrose, right on Honolulu. So it was west end of Honolulu, and they gave us your info, and I called you, and it started there. That's kind of how it started. I mean, we literally just started with a phone call and a brief consultation, and then I spoke to you again, set up, and then Jessica appeared miraculously at our house, and the rest is history. Yeah,
and we had a great time.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
And again, Jessica was like, I can't speak to enough how great she did, and how comfortable it was to have her in our home, and and Jack just took to her as well, because again, they have to get to know the child, and she did a fabulous job with that. Again, we're just still it was a special experience, and we feel lucky, but again, it does take work. As long as you're willing to do it, I believe that's the best thing to do,
Right.
So, but yeah, my wife wasn't a believer at first, and now she is. She's a firm believer
Is she?
in what Pam and Jessica did.
Yeah.
So.
She was really nervous going in, wasn't she?
She was, yeah. She wasn't necessarily like a huge proponent of it, because she felt like, there was all the excuses, he's teething or whatever, or he was sick or that kind of stuff. But once we broke out of that, is really kind of when it started to, pay dividends. And obviously it's with Jessica, kind of the guidelines that she set for us, and all that stuff. So we've been very, again, I can't tell you how lucky we've been. So,
well, we're blessed to have met you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And again, if there's any questions or anything, let me know. And I could not be happier about the results. And Jack woke up this morning at 7:30. At breakfast, he took a nap when I left to come here. So I'm sure he's still asleep. I haven't gotten a notification.
Right.
So that's getting up to 3 hours. So So again, you just can't. It's really that. What are you willing to do? And if you're willing to do this, that's the best move for it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and he was older. Like a lot of people are reaching out to us at around the 4, 5, 6 month mark.
Yeah.
But
he was like 15, 16 months.
Yeah.
So he's 19 now. So we're getting into our 3rd month of it. So he was just around that age. So, and again, that was more indicative of why I felt that we needed, my wife and I felt that we needed to do something, and then once it kind of took hold, it really just was, it just made sense. Everything Jessica told us to do made sense. So,
And then what's also interesting about you guys is you chose the sleep nanny package.
Yeah.
So tell us more about that.
We picked that just because, again, being married for coming up on 3 years on Monday, and then being together for 15, I knew each other's strengths and weaknesses, and we felt that having someone at home was probably the best way to get what we needed to get done.
Yeah.
And that was have Jessica come in and really just say, hey, this will work, this won't work, that kind of thing. So that's kind of that's why we chose that package, because we felt like that was going to be the most productive way to get ultimately where we wanted to get, and you had it available. So, most people don't have that available. So, and I didn't call around to a couple people, but you by far were the most, sympathetic with the consult, and then definitely speaking to Jessica too. So.
I got a gift for you from the baby.
Yes.
Before you go.
Thank you. Okay, great. Thank you so much. Yeah. Again, it started here, and they had your info. So
Yeah.
once I got the information, I placed the call and I spoke to you. So it was awesome. So thank you.
As his business partner, it was the best investment ever.
Oh,
He started getting grumpy, and he started getting some sleep, and I'm happy for him.
And my brother he has a newborn, so and she fortunately is sleeping. So he said he's like, I hope I don't have to contact you guys, but if I do need to, you're gonna be the first people.
First thing to call.
Yeah, exactly.